You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them. Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice softly carries up the stairs.
Hello? Is someone there?
It's hypnotizing. It's the kind of voice you only have to hear once to remember it for the rest of your life. Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. You're playing a dangerous game by coming here unarmed.
Wait, really? You're here to rescue me? I was starting to think I'd be stuck down here forever.
I see. You're trying to get her to lower her guard. It's a gamble, but it might work.
Come downstairs. I want to see the face of my rescuer.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement. She's beautiful. How could someone like this be of threat to anyone? I am begging you to stay focused. There's a lot riding on you here.
Hi. I can't believe you're here. I've been waiting for something like this to happen forever. I hope you brought something to deal with these chains.
You were lying when you said you were here to rescue her, but regardless of your intentions, breaking her out of those chains would be a big mistake. Don't even try it.
Okay. Oh.
She pauses, carefully formulating her words before she responds.
You can address me as Your Royal Highness. Or you can just call me Princess if Your Royal Highness is too formal.
Is Princess her name or her title? What if it's both? Could you imagine being named Princess Princess?
Like I said, you can call me Princess if you'd like. I'm sorry, I've been down here so long, I guess I've just forgotten. I must have a name, though. Everyone has a name.
Okay, that's weird. She hadn't even thought to pick a name for herself. Hopefully you're starting to see that she can't be trusted. Go back upstairs, get the blade, and slay her before it's too late.
I don't see what that has to do with anything.
This is the only time this is ever going to happen, but I agree with the princess. That's hardly relevant. Okay, but actually, what has she been eating? She has to eat, right? The princess hesitates before responding. She doesn't know. She's been down here too long to have any idea of what she'd do in another life. She knows what she'd do. She's just searching for whatever answer she thinks you want to hear.
Are you looking for the truth, or are you looking for the right answer? Because with the dynamic we have going on here, I don't think the specifics of what I do really matter. It's not like you'd believe me.
Thank you. You turn back to the stairs, intent on retrieving the blade in the cabin.
Where are you going? You can't just leave me here. You'd better hope for your own sake that I don't slip these chains before you make it back down here.
Slip these chains? She can't, right? She needed our help to get out of here. But do you hear the conviction in her voice? I don't think she's bluffing. She has to be bluffing, but I'd hurry if I were you. You rush up to the first floor, grabbing the blade, both yours and the world's only possible salvation. Okay, if we're sure about this decision, I'll support it. I suppose we have a world to save after all. You slowly creep down the basement stairs. It's quiet. Where the princess sat only a moment ago, there's only a severed arm, its cooling flesh still chained to the wall, and she is nowhere to be seen. Is it just me, or did this room get a lot bigger? Your eyes dart to the corners of the room. You don't see her. Where is she? You close the door behind you. Almost magically, its locks immediately click into place. Maybe they'll open if you finish the job. You step forward to investigate the severed limb. A trail of blood leads from its jagged stump into a dark corner of the basement. And then you hear the quiet patter of feet against the floor, and there's suddenly a weight on your shoulders. The princess tears into you. Her teeth and claws are unnaturally sharp, ripping into your shoulders, digging into your throat. You fall to the ground, the princess eagerly tearing at your flesh. Holy shit. What is she? Are you serious? As the princess rends flesh from bone, your limp fingers can no longer hold the blade. It slips from your hand, your one last means of defense lying useless beside you in a pool of your cooling blood. I suppose you just lacked the will to fight back. This is the end, isn't it? I'm afraid it is. Everything goes dark, and you die. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. It hasn't. Or if it has, I certainly haven't been a part of it. We've just met for the first time, you and I. If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way. If he doesn't remember what happened, then something else must have trapped us here. You're not trapped here. Nobody's forcing you to do anything, though the only sensible thing for you to do right now is march up to that cabin and slay the princess. Those are two very different questions, but fine, I'll indulge you if that's what it takes to get you moving. Let's say for a moment that this really is the second time you've met me, or at least a version of me. If you're back here, I'm assuming you died, which probably only happened because you didn't listen to me. We did our best with the information we were given. And yet you still died, didn't you? So, great, congratulations, you've been given another chance to actually do this right. And I believe your other question was something along the lines of, oh, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. We were killed by the princess and now everyone's right back where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself, or were you instead transported to a different world entirely? If it's the latter, what do you think happened after you died? Do you think the people there lived happily ever after? Or do you think that the princess, left unhindered, brought about the end to everyone and everything, just like I told you she would? All the more reason to keep our wits about us, should we even return to the cabin. We could find a safe little hole somewhere instead. You have to go to the cabin. If you don't slay the princess, she's going to end the world, which you're always going to be a part of, even if you're cowering in a hole. There's no escaping your responsibility here. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. Does a cat lie to a cornered mouse when it plays with its freedom? Or is it just acting out its nature? I don't see why that matters. A lie's a lie, and if anything, she's the one who's cornered. She could have gotten out of there whenever she wanted to. We should trust nothing that she tells us, only what we hear and smell. That's a very roundabout way of saying that you should listen to me and take this seriously. Maybe. The interior of the cabin is ruinous and dilapidated. It feels like no one has lived here for a long time, wind rushing in through cracks and holes in the wooden walls. The only furniture of note is a termite-eaten table with a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. Very different. I wonder why. Maybe that's because you haven't actually been here. I hope this means you'll finally drop that ridiculous past life nonsense. You haven't died, and you certainly haven't been killed by the princess. So focus up. A lot's riding on this. That's because there isn't a mirror. There's a table, the blade sitting on the table, and the door to the basement. There's nothing else in here. There's definitely a mirror. There isn't. What a strange thing to lie about. Maybe he doesn't see it, much like he hasn't seen what's already happened. Exactly. Why would I lie about something so meaningless? What good would a mirror even do? Let you waste time preening yourself instead of doing what needs to be done? You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. This really isn't funny. You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. But it was there a second ago. And now it's gone. No steel claw. Do you think we can talk our way out of this? I don't think she wants to talk. I guess we'll just have to trust that we made the right call. It'll still be here if we need it. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing what's left of an old wooden staircase. It's still sturdy enough that you can make your way down in one piece, though you'll have to be mindful of holes. The air seeping up from below is oddly warm and wet, as if you're descending into a jungle. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favor. She growls up the stairs.
I can smell you.
She sounds almost feral, impatient, or maybe eager. You carefully make your way down the stairs. The last step gives way to the damp earth floor of a starlit pit. The walls are obscured by an impenetrable darkness, giving the illusion that the room might stretch on forever. You brush against the wide leaves of plants that surround you on all sides, seemingly the only living things that occupy this strange underground wilderness. The jungle is pressing in on us, hiding her from view. She could be anywhere. You see only a flash of the princess before she scurries away into the underbrush, dragging her heavy chain behind her. Remember, she's just a princess. She is certainly not just a princess. You're not helping. It doesn't matter what she is. It only matters what she does. Her shining eyes appear between the leaves, staring hungrily at you from the darkness.
I can hear your heart pounding from the bottom of the stairs, fledgling. You're right to be terrified. I'm so much more than you.
A shiver rushes up your spine and pulls you upright. The air's shifting. She's getting ready to pounce. Move, now. You lunge to the side, picking a direction on instinct. As you land, you're buffeted by a gust of air, disturbed by the sudden motion of a massive body. The princess. In an instant, she's pounced on the spot where you would have been, her chains rattling across the floor behind her. Before you can blink, she's gone, vanishing once more into the shadows. But you still feel her gaze on you.
You're faster than you were before, but you're still meek, reactive, prey.
You whirl around to find her, and your gaze meets hers, a pair of shining eyes peering out at you from just beyond the basement stairs. So she's cut off our escape. Shit, what do we do?
I want to swallow you whole, and I will get what I want. You have no exit. You have no hope. You live and die by my whims, and my whims alone.
Don't ask her what she wants. Just run for the blade upstairs and slay her with it. Is that all the advice you have? You don't even know what she looks like. Some specifics would be very helpful. She's just a princess. Don't overthink it. She is clearly not. Why does anything kill anything else? She needs to.
I didn't say I wanted to kill you.
It sounds like she wants to do something even worse. What she wants only matters if she wins, and you're not going to let that happen. She's coiling for another strike. Be somewhere else. We're on the back foot. The back foot keeps us nimble, keeps us alive. It doesn't matter if it keeps us alive, if it eventually kills us. We need to take back the momentum. We need to do something. Jungle, barely moving out of the way before the princess surges past you with a speed that makes her practically unseen. Oh, for the love of... You've given up the game. Great. All that will do is hasten her victory.
So many useless thoughts run through your head. Thinking, thinking, thinking. You'll never hurt me if you keep thinking. And you bear your weakness to the world.
A tickling sensation rises at the base of your neck. Flee. We can't keep doing this. You're a bit slow, or maybe she's a little faster. You avoid her slavering jaws, but she manages to graze you, her titanic momentum skinning you along your side. It's like being sideswiped by sandpaper. How is she that fast?
You're bleeding now.
You instinctively touch your side, testing her claim. It's wet and stings from the gentle touch of your fingertips. A costly mistake. We can't make it again. We will make it again unless something changes. We have to break the pattern. We need more time. She's cutting off our escape.
Our game is nearing its end. I don't question who I am or what I want. I simply do. To act is always better than to react. To do is always better than to watch.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but you do well to listen to her. Less standing around asking questions, more doing exactly as I say. She's more tense this time. She means this next blow to be the last. The mere thought of moving again makes your bloodied side ache. We're exhausted. We're bleeding. We're still alive. We owe it to ourselves to move. Once again, you narrowly avoid the full force of the impact, and once again you are too slow to come away unscathed. You're starting to get tired. You're making mistakes. This isn't working. We have to do something. We have to figure out a plan. Don't plan ahead. Act on the now. All that matters is that we stay alive. We're trying, but we can't keep this up much longer. We have to. We keep up or we die.
You're getting slow.
She seizes the opportunity, lunging once again from the darkness, fangs bared and claws flashing. She attacks over and over and over, and each time she leaves with a little piece of you. Too tired to think, but we have to think. We have to move. It's too late. Before you get the chance to react, it's over. She makes her last foray from the dark corners of the room, unhinging her dripping maw, her eyes fierce and full of hunger. You do your best to dive out of the way, and you partially succeed. Partially? Yes, the princess fails to swallow you whole. She only swallows your lower body. That's just as bad. That's worse, even. It's death either way. At least this will be a faster end. You look down to see that the dirt between you is strewn with your intestines, trailing all the way up and disappearing behind her blood-stained teeth. Your legs are nowhere to be seen. You start to go into shock. The princess, bloody saliva dripping from her lips, idly gnaws on what's left of you as you rapidly fade away.
I didn't mean to do that. I still need to devour you, and it doesn't count if you're dead.
We're not dead, we're... But you don't have time to protest her premature observation of your death, because everything goes dark, and you die. You're on a path in the That didn't work. We're going in with a plan this time. We're not getting stuck in another loop, just acting on instinct. We're stuck in a big enough loop as it is. Instinct was keeping us alive. Until it wasn't. So what are we supposed to do? Great, so you've been here before. That doesn't bode well. You're not supposed to have been here before. This is supposed to be one and done. So you know more than you're letting on. Yeah, what he said. Of course I do, but believe me, it's in your best interests. The more you know about the princess, the more difficult your task will be. And why is that? Having me explain why would defeat the whole purpose. There are simply some things I'm not allowed to tell you. It's a hard rule. And whose rule is it? Who's telling you to boss us around? We've died twice already, and if you want us to stay alive this time, it's in your best interests to give us an edge. It's my rule, and this conversation is over. You're right. This is different, isn't it? I'm starting to lose track of things myself. Ground is ground. It doesn't matter what shape it takes. We'll adapt. If it looks different, that's because the situation has started to spiral out of everyone's control. So please, disavow yourself of the notion that you can just come back here and fix this place if you manage to make a mess before that line of thinking leaves you yet another world in ruin. Though, as evidenced by you dying twice, it's safe to assume the fates of the worlds you've left behind don't concern you very much. Consider this your last opportunity to make things right, for you and for the rest of existence, but especially for you. Clearly we're not getting anything out of him. Like I said, I've told you as much as I can without putting you at a disadvantage. If anything, I've told you too much. You've already died by her hands twice. You shouldn't need much in the way of motivation. You make your way down to the cabin. Your fated confrontation awaits. You know what to do. So, we need a plan. We've been over the plan. Goad her out of the shadows. Make her show herself. And what if she doesn't want to be seen? We'll figure out a way to make it happen. And if that doesn't make her any easier to fight, it will. It's always easier to fight what you can see, no matter how big or toothy she might be. She spent as much time as she could in the shadows, so we're gonna draw her out. But she's fast, and she's clever. We're clever too, so this time we're not gonna let her cut off our escape. We're gonna lead her to the stairs ourselves. It'll be a lot easier to deal with her once we can actually see what she is. But you already know what she is. She's a princess. Yeah, right. A princess we couldn't see, and one that had big, sharp teeth, too. How about you stick to describing things and we'll stick to doing our job? Sharp teeth. The interior is dark and overgrown. Vines and brush obscure so much of the place that, had you not seen the exterior, you might not have noticed this was a cabin at all. The only furniture of note, if you could call it that, is a knotted stump, a pristine blade embedded in its exposed rings. The blade is your implement, You'll need it if you're going to do this right. Of course that damn mirror's back, and of course he's not saying anything about it. Why is it following us? What are you talking about? There is no mirror. There's just the stump and a narrow tunnel that leads to the basement. He isn't tricking us. Can you feel the wind? It's telling us there's a hole in that wall. Our eyes deceive us. Then either way, we need to investigate. Might as well get started. You really think being unarmed is best? I hope you know what you're doing, but let's not forget that it's up here if things go south. The steel claw makes us sloppy, too confident. We'll be faster without it. You step forward, approaching the small hole that leads to the basement, hesitating before you enter the princess's lair. Haven't you been paying attention? We're not hesitating. This supposed hole is blocked by that old mirror. That mirror isn't part of this place. It's seeped through from somewhere else. It, if there even is an it, is a hallucination. Like you said, you've been here twice before. Your mind was bound to start playing tricks on you eventually. It went away after we reached out to it last time. Might as well try wiping it clean again. What's the harm? You reach forward and wave your hand over the open hole leading to the basement. See? Nothing. Tricks of the eye. No one sense can be trusted on its own. You step forward into the darkness. If there were once stairs leading into the basement, there is nothing left to attest to their existence now. There is only a long tunnel of packed earth, growing more narrow as you descend. It smells of mold and decay. The damp walls leave streaks of dirt along your body as you're forced to hunch, then finally squat down on all fours in order to continue. If the princess lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. As you crawl forward on hands and knees, you're met only with the sounds of ambient earth. No voice slinks confidently up the stairs, no entity threatens violence or pleads for safety. Stay quiet. Don't give her a sound. You say nothing, maintaining the silence as you carefully make your way down into the basement. The basement is dark and cavernous, a gaping maw threatening to swallow you whole. There is no light here, save for what little starlight has managed to filter down the tunnel. And though you can't see the vastness of the space, you can feel it. You're exposed. Stay on your toes. We take a step into the shadows, and as soon as she moves, we jump back, make her follow. From there, we trap her in the tunnel, draw her out of the cabin, whatever it takes to get her out of her element. Then we're safe. You step into the shadows and are enveloped in total darkness. Your heart pounds in your chest, ears pricked, eyes wide despite the inky blackness, waiting for any sign of movement. That's right. Keep steady. Don't let your nerves get the better of you. There, she's about to strike. With the near silence of a determined predator, the princess erupts from the shadows, but you've already started your swift escape. That's stage one. Now stay focused. You dive into the tunnel and begin scrambling up towards the cabin. You hear her behind you, claws raking at the dirt, chains rattling, breaths hot and heavy with the effort of the ascent. But the sounds are coming slower now, the breaths pained and stuttering. You no longer sense frantic motion behind you in the tunnel. You risk a glance. She is a broad and sickly creature, her withered and emaciated flesh clinging to bones too large to fit in the narrow space. She managed to squirm her way into the tunnel in pursuit, but now she's stuck, incapable of either moving towards you or returning to the open darkness of the basement below. So that's what she's become. She wasn't like this when we started. Was she? No, she wasn't. Looking at her makes me feel sad. Yeah, now that we can see her, she doesn't feel like much of a threat at all. Her eyes look up at yours, wide, pleading. Come back, you can imagine them saying, don't leave me here. But you shouldn't listen to the sad eyes of a vanquished enemy. She wants nothing more than to change places with you. If you want us to ignore her, then why would you tell us any of that wide-pleasing eyes begging for mercy business to begin with? All it does is make us feel conflicted. I'm merely describing things as they are. It's not my fault that her eyes had something to say, even if that something was a ploy, which, if I might stress, I pointed out to you. What should we do about her anyway? Can she still end the world like this? She hurts. We should help. Maybe we should try and talk to her. This is a good opportunity for information. We shouldn't waste it. That's a terrible idea. She doesn't know anything. She hasn't even said a word since you got here. You cautiously make your way closer to the princess, her eyes avoiding yours with the silent resignation of a defeated predator. She's gone. Where did she go? Should we try and find her? And there's that mirror again. Why is it here? Why now? But it feels so bad. Like looking into it right now is going to be the end of everything. That thing reeks of death. You're right. Part of me wants the truth, but something stronger is holding me back. Fear. Okay. If you say so, we'll trust you. I'd like to be somewhere nice. Feels too good to be true.
There's a world beyond the endless walls of the long quiet. I am curious to see what it means for us to know it. It doesn't matter if there are. People are too small for us. You and I are the only things that interest me. I'm sorry. Words are difficult for me. They never fully weave what I wish to say. If you do not like my answers, then you need not ask me questions. The vessels you choose to bring me carry far more meaning than anything words could say in the spaces between. We are real. Nothing is an idea that dwells in the absence of something. But nothing cannot exist on its own, and because of that, nothing can't exist. If I did, I would already be awake. No, their minds are empty. existent, but constantly shifting into something new. Do you think your narrator lives in the spaces beyond? Do not look to one who fears me for your truth. The only answers worth knowing are those we can find within ourselves. 1. Whatever you bring me next will be enough, and then gravity will pull the others back to me. I will be singular, a final multitude. These gifts are a conversation, and each one shows me the contours of your heart. The only thing I want to see is what you choose for me when the thread is fully drawn. This one is consumed by instinct, a predator pushing those around her to adapt. She will make for a bold heart. She wishes me to devour you, to make you a part of myself, but she is only a voice. Do not mourn her, for she is part of something greater. The next time I see you, each of us will finally know what we are. I will be here, waiting for you.